Good morning. Welcome to the October 15th meeting of the Facility Committee. I call this meeting to order. All of the committee members are here. I need an approval of the agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. 4-0. The next item on the agenda is the stadium lighting bids for Porter Ridge High School and Forest Hills High School. Mr. Burnett.
Good morning. We received pricing for both of these schools through the TIPS Purchasing Cooperative Network. Pricing was $148,741 and $158,907. Then that was for Porter Ridge first, Forest Hills second, a total of $307,648. We had a budget of $267,750. That was for one of the schools, but we are having issues at Forest Hills High School, so we were trying to kind of fast track that and get that this year as opposed to next year. So we are short at $39,898. We'd like to use savings from the safety and security category to cover the difference. And so we're recommending to go with Camp Electric Company, Inc. in the total amount of $307,648 and to allow to use savings in the amount of $39,898.
Okay, thank you. I have a question.
Okay.
That $39,898 from savings, is that also the same year, 2021, or is that from prior years?
We were planning to do prior years.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to know. So the 40,000, estimated 40,000 will come for prior years, but the rest the 267 is 2021.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
I got a couple questions. Is this coming down in price at all? It seems like it's a lot cheaper.
So we did a different purchasing network. And so we did feel that we had some better opportunities. We did explore those. So we're very happy, with this pricing. And this contractor has actually done work in Union County before.
That was my question. Thank you.
And what would be the final, light output on the field?
It's greater than 50-foot candles. In the board docs, there's a submittal that shows what the foot candle readings are throughout the field. And it's between, I think, maybe 55 and 65 foot candles.
Yeah, there were some 70s. Yeah, that was pretty bright.
You want to see?
No, I must have it.
Looks like I'm the only one that didn't get copies. Do you have any more copies?
I brought two with me. I'm so sorry.
That's good. That's good.
Any other questions?
So I need a motion to recommend this to the Board of Education at the next meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The next thing is the Park Place. Sorry. The next item is the Park Place subdivision that we talked about at the last meeting. I asked for more information with respect to the Monroe cluster for this, and I received it from Mr. Ogrim, and so I'm going to update you on that. Again, it is a subdivision that is proposed. It has not gone through planning board at the county. Between Newtown Road and Willoughby, part of it sits in the Parkwood cluster, and the majority of it sits in the Sun Valley cluster. The part that sits in Sun Valley is Rocky River. They're at 82% of capacity. Sun Valley Middle is at 91% of capacity. Sun Valley High School is about 95% of capacity right now. It'll go down now that we have 4 classes done, and there'll be more, so we'll see where we are then. Western Union is at 60%, Parkwood Middle at 82%, and Parkwood High at 76%. So I also talked about in the memo is the distance from the proposed subdivision to each of the 4 elementary schools and to each of the closest high schools, and you'll see that on there. We talked about Walter Bickett as well. Walter Bickett's at 70% of capacity has about 1,200 planned units right now in their zone. Monroe High School is at 70% of capacity, and Monroe Middle School is at 80% of capacity, and they have about 1,700 planned units in Monroe Middle and High. And as we talked about at the last meeting, Monroe cluster is typically more level. It doesn't have the decline or the increases that we see in other clusters. It's kind of steady all the time. So basically, it is again talking about what to do with Park Place, given Sun Valley's, or given the facilities committee wanting to see subdivisions in that are going through the process to see if we need to do something with respect to its attendance zone. And I guess the question is, do we want to make a recommendation to reassign this subdivision to either the Monroe or Parkwood cluster?
I would like to see it move to either Monroe or Parkwood. I just can't see us putting that many kids possibly at Sun Valley, even though the number should drop to 90% in Sun Valley, but Indian Trail is really booming right now.
Well, right now in the Sun Valley cluster, there's approximately 5,062 units that have been planned.
Yes.
So,
So
yeah.
I don't think that would be wise on our part
So
to
the,
allow them to go to Sun
Yeah, I
Valley.
guess for me, I mean, I'm not too far from there. It seems like Park would be the best option. I mean,
Okay.
distance-wise, even though it's pretty close. I mean, Monroe and Parkwood are about the same, but you have to go through all of Monroe to get to Monroe. So time-wise, it's a factor. And then Western Union, you have plenty of capacity.
plenty of capacity.
And it seems like that's just right down the street from it. So
Okay. Does somebody, is that do you have a motion, Mrs. Helms?
Well, I'd like to take Sun Valley for sure off the table. It doesn't matter to me, either Parkwood or Monroe would be a good fit, I think, just capacity wise. So I'm okay with either or.
So this again will go to the board for a first read. Then it comes back to the committee like we did last time again to see if the other board members have any comments. And then it goes back to the board.
Okay.
So that'll be November. That'll be December at that time
Okay.
for a final thing. So Matt, do you want to pick one of them and make a motion? Or
I mean, I like to hear what other people say, but I think
Yeah.
Parkwood
Well, I
would
think-
make the most sense to me. I mean, just where it's situated.
Well, I think we should take Sun Valley off the table 100%.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's a good feasible option for us.
okay.
So
So should we have that discussion at the board and recommend one of the two and have a discussion?
that
with
would
the
be
board?
fine with me. I would like that.
Yeah, we could do that. I mean,
I'm good with that. Okay. So we need a motion to send it to the full board to discuss whether or not this should be reassigned to Parkwood cluster or to the Monroe cluster.
Okay, so I'll make the motion
Okay.
that we bring this to the full board to assign this new subdivision to either Monroe High School or Parkwood High School.
It would be the clusters, not just the high school.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
I'm sorry. Yes,
Parkwood
yes,
cluster or Monroe
yes.
cluster?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I need a
I'll
second.
second that.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Aye, okay. 4-0, thank you. Next up is the construction update. Do you, Mr. Burnett?
You sure?
Okay, so we had, since the last construction update, we've had two TCOs. One was at Transportation, one was at Sun Valley High School. So, great news there on both projects. Specific to Sun Valley High School, we're much more into the renovation, phase of that work. And mostly the work is centered around the old cafeteria, which is it's pretty much in shape. I mean, that paint there, they're really waiting on rooftop units to be installed so that they can then go to the next phase of the work. At the old admin, really the same story. They had some structural issues that they are working through to get those rooftop units set. And again, same thing, they need rooftop units so that they can have conditioned air so that they can finish with the finishes.
So when are we expecting the new classrooms? When are we expecting the construction to be done at Sun Valley? We get questions on this daily.
Okay, so we had a meeting yesterday where we were asking the contractor to produce a final schedule, which is for them to, be finishing and roll and, coming off the job. So we don't have that, but the things that, the big things that we are looking for.
We don't have that, meaning we're shooting still for November, we're shooting for December, we're shooting for 2021. What, explain that.
I can give you parts and pieces. The next milestone as far as new construction areas is J, which is the weight room. And that's where we have the pictures, there. And that should be November, for when that's turned over. As far as the old admin area, that I think is also a November, timeframe for that. Probably the same for the performing arts area. That should also be a November. And this is me talking. Hopefully the contractor doesn't have something that I don't know about that's going to be different.
What about the stadium?
So right now we had hoped that they were going to begin the final surfacing last night, but the track was still too wet. So the synthetic surface is down. Basically, it's the last coat, needs to go down, and that's a 2-night process. So we expect that's going to be tonight and tomorrow night, assuming there's no rain.
Okay. What about the bus lot?
As far as final paving of the bus lot, that's all going to be done at the same time as the entrance drive to that bus lot and the final asphalt on the turn lane. I'm not aware of when that is scheduled, but that's going to be where it has to be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday type deal.
Okay. What about the student lot?
So the student lot, per the scope of work, is not supposed to be repaved. We do have a price to repave it, and we're evaluating that price. It's $320,000. That's a significant price, but and we also need to look at our priorities as far as is that what we want to tie the money up with.
And as we've discussed before, we were delayed 6 weeks getting kids into the school. There are seniors who would like to paint their parking spaces, and they're waiting and waiting and waiting. So when is that going to be able to happen?
Obviously, the big answer is, do we want to do the 300? Do we want to repave the parking lot? And the logistics of repaving that parking lot. We can't do it in a weekend. That's a minimum of 5 days. So we were looking at the logistics of trying to do 5 days worth of work, and how that can be staged. It's not as simple as just pave a little bit here and then wait and come back and pave, over there. Number one, that would be more expensive, but there is milling that needs to occur. And so the milling is going to be an operation, of itself. And that's where you're kind of shaving the asphalt down so that your curbs, everything's going to tie in correctly.
So we're not hearing a request to pave the parking lot today. So when are we going to make that decision? Because
Right. So as we had the meeting yesterday and we were learning that, what was involved with the logistics, the immediate question was, does it make sense to try to do it this fall, or do we not do it as part of this contract, or it is a separate contract and do it next summer? Those are the two immediate things that came to mind.
So when is the decision going to be made, whether or not we're doing it or putting it off to next summer?
Yeah. So actually, I did want to consult, with some folks, actually in this room and with the school and see if that is a priority.
Okay. What about signage? We know that we talked about, and Ms. Merrill brought up the fact that it's difficult to find where you're going. So have we ordered signage so that people can figure out where things are?
Right. So inside the building, we do have interior signage that's part of the project that has been 99% complete as far as, everything that needs to, the direction to the contractor. We were adding site signage, and that's, hey, here's where come in this entrance to go to the gym or to the stadium, things like that. So that hasn't been finalized.
Okay, what about the punch list of all the stuff that's not right that we need them to fix?
So we have punch list for the site, punch list for the stadium, punch list for the G&H work. That's the admin and the dining. All that is underway.
Okay, so the stadium and sports start in January?
That's what I understand.
So will all this be done?
That's the expectation. There is one scope of work that is being added, and it's some drainage items, and that is in the stadium, which we're seeing where drainage issues have occurred, and we're taking care of those, and one at the ticket kiosk. Don't see any reason why that wouldn't be done before January.
Can we make sure that we're staying on top of this, calling them on at least a weekly basis? Because this has been dragging on far too long.
Yeah.
And with everything that's gone on at Sun Valley, we need to make sure that especially these seniors have something to look forward to come second semester, which in a high school experience includes high school sports. So I want to make sure that we are calling them at least on a weekly basis to get an update and put pressure on them to make sure the job is getting completed. Because enough is enough. I mean, I'm tired of talking about it.
Dave, you didn't mention, but the tennis courts are 99% done as well.
Okay. Yeah, I want everything 100%
So
done.
you guys meet with the general and the CMAR every week, right? Maybe more than one time a week, correct?
Yeah, and I would say that we're probably in contact on an average, probably hourly.
Right. I will say that the new parts of the building, the cafeteria, the admin, the guidance is just, it's very nice. And I think the students are very excited about that. The teachers and the admin, I think, are as well. But we just need to get it over the goal line.
You got to get it
It's
done.
right. So,
Enough is
and
enough.
and I know you guys know that as well.
Yeah, I know y'all are tired of dealing with it too.
Sorry. Next.
Well, let me mention one thing on
Okay.
that. So the contractor is entitled to rain delays, and so that was one thing we have asked. What is the status? What is their claim? So they have put together a rain delay claim. And it's a lot of days as we expected, it to be. The contractor is saying, hey, I don't need all these days, but this is what the calculation shows. So just know that there is that that's also out there.
I will say that as we move forward with bond projects and things like this, it's important to remember that how difficult it is to renovate an older building, and that not only the cost and going above what cost it than what you could even imagine what it would be, but it's really hard. So replacing Forest Hills and replacing parts of Parkwood and Piedmont is the way to go instead of trying to renovate these buildings. It just is not in anybody's best interest to keep doing this, because it's every time we get somewhere, we find something else that needs to be done, and over and over and over again. And I just don't think that that's our biggest bang for our buck.
I think Dave and I would both agree that we've done this a long time, and I'm still amazed every day that it just seems like there's always something. And I don't think I've ever been on a job like this. So we'll get there.
Okay. Next, Transportation Center.
So as mentioned, transportation, we did get the TCO on that, which is great. The staff has moved in and is utilizing the building from all accounts. They seem to be very happy, with the new digs. So, all of that is progressing well. Still some moving that's still occurring. But for the most part, they're over there and they're, seem to be,
That's a really nice facility. It really is. Mr. Strickland took Mrs. Merrill and I on a tour of it. Mr. Denton too. It was very nice. Does anyone have any question on the rest of the projects on the construction update? Nope. Okay. Next up is building and zoning, and that is just for an FYI. Does anybody have questions on that? And surplus, does anybody have questions about that?
if I could add one thing
Uh-huh.
on the surplus, we did, from what you saw last night or a couple of days ago, as far as what was in board docs, we did have an updated version on that. And what we added was a kettle and a double oven from Child Nutrition that are no longer in working order.
Okay. Any questions? Nope. Okay, our next meeting is November 19th at 9 a.m. at the PDC. I need a motion to go into closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318-11A3 to consult with an attorney in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged, and pursuant to 143-318-11A3 and 5 regarding the purchase, acquisition of property.
Motion to go into closed session.
Second.
Thank you.